Hello and welcome to Rolling with Reviews. I'm Will, and with me is the person I'd trade anything for,
Sarah.
And today we're doing a review of Golem, Century Golem Edition. It's just the Golem game. Sarah, tell us a bit about this Golem game.
All right. In Century Golem Edition, players are collecting gems and trading gems through card play in order to spend gems to buy Golem cards worth points. That's a lot of gems. All right, so why did we get this game?
So we initially saw Century Spice Road, and that's what the game was before they came out with any other edition. We were interested in the mechanisms, and then when we saw this art and this styling, that captivated us. So we went ahead and picked up this, and very glad we did.
Yeah, gotta say that while the mechanisms of the Century Spice Road were very interesting, the art just was not attractive. It's hard to say it any other way, but the golems and this beautiful art was definitely what attracted us to it.
I guess you're not crazy about saffron?
I am not, I guess. All right. So let's talk about what we like about the game, and let's just start with the theme. Now, the theme printed in the rules is like almost a literal translation of spice. You are trading gems. You are a trader. You are a merchant. You're selling these gems. You're selling these gems. You're trading these gems, and you're fulfilling orders for gems so someone else can go out and build a really cool golem that helps the world. But everybody I talk to, they have a very different story, including me, on what you actually do in this game. Because in this game, you're not a trader. You are that awesome person who can turn crystals into amazing golems that go out and help the world. Because doesn't that feel better? I always enjoy my plays of this game because even when I lose, I can look at the golems that I built that went out and made the world a better place. I made a golem that can carry cows, or is a what do you call it? The one I really like, the playground for kids, or is a light tower, or breaks ice in the ocean. I mean, just the thought of being that amazing person that can make such positive change on the world, that's the narrative that I really like.
It sounds like you're taking credit for Ned's work again.
Ned's work?
Yeah, Ned builds all the golems. Very, very talented man.
All I'm saying is everybody I ever talk to about what you as the player do in this game, it's never about being a trader of gems. It is about building golems.
Well, because that is an active narrative, and that actually puts you into the world a lot more than just the straight translation of you're a trader fulfilling orders.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm the middleman. That's not as exciting as I am the man or woman who makes the golem. Or woman. That works, right?
Sure. We also very much support gender neutral golems here too.
I don't even know how to pronounce that then.
They're just golems.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on. What we liked initially about the game was the mechanisms. I mean, you're doing hand management, the card retrieval, engine buildings. You're trying to get cards that will translate to different gems and get another card that translates those gems into other things. So you're trying to build a bit of an engine, and we really like engine building.
Yes. It takes the micro turn mechanisms that we've seen in a lot of different games, and adds enough nuance to that it hits that nice sweet spot. It's not doing too much, but it's not doing too little. So you always feel like something's substantive is happening on your turn.
Yeah, I think the most lackluster turn is taking back your cards, but at least that's fast. You just, I mean, we play rounds where like almost everybody gets synced up, and it's like, I pick up my cards. Will picks up his cards. If we're playing with friends, they pick up the cards, and now it's back to me. But the thing is, I'm trying to organize all my cards into what order I want to play them in, and so I'm not actually even prepared yet for my turn.
Yes.
Because there is a bit to think about when it's not your turn. And so you need to think, okay, what card am I going to play next? What is the order of operation that is going to make this strategy work so I can get the right gems to build that golem.
But when it works, it's like a Rube Goldberg machine
Yeah.
going, because you crank this thing going and it knocks that thing over and it hits over there and it comes back here and it slowly builds up bigger and bigger, and then you have this big pile of gems and then you shove it at someone's face and you're like, all right, let's build a golem. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. The other thing we really like about this game is it's all open information. Even though you do keep the cards in your hand, there's absolutely no reason to keep them secret, because you've picked up all of them face up from the row. So if someone were really have a perfect memory, you'd know what every person has every card anyways. But there's really nothing you can do to interfere with anybody else's play.
I mean, aside from physically, bodily manhandling them to go knock them over, tackle them. Don't play that card.
No, the player interaction in this game is denying other people cards. You go build a golem before somebody does, or you take a card from the row before they do. But once you've got cards in your hand,
it's yours.
It's yours. It's not going to go anywhere.
You don't even have to use it.
Yeah, that's true. You can pick up cards and never use them the whole game.
Yeah.
That's just how it works. But for us, it's nice having a game where it can be all open information, because there are a lot of games where it's like partial. Like cards are face up, but then as you pick up cards or gain cards, they have to be secret. And that's just more work for Will with his vision disabilities.
Yeah.
Oh yes, the biggest thing, this is now on Board Game Arena. Now, I was wrong at the beginning when I first saw Century Spice Road on Board Game Arena. I didn't look closely enough. I didn't think they actually put this version, the Golem version, on. So I was real upset. Of course, I went to Twitter, and then someone, actually several someones, pointed out, but you can just change the setting from Century Spice to Century Golem. And I'm like, oh, fantastic. This is amazing. I can play this game now with a lot of my friends.
But don't you have to make that change before people
Yes.
accept?
So that is one of the frustrating parts about Board Game Arena is you cannot set up, at least not that I've figured out. If anyone has figured out how you set up the settings of the game before everyone accepts, please let me know. But as far as I've been able to figure out, you start a game with everybody. If before they have accepted, you can change settings, which in this case, Century Spice Road is the default. So you'd have to change the selection to Century Golem.
Yeah.
Once somebody accepts the invite, you can no longer make any changes, which, like I said, can be frustrating. It's easy if we're playing live with people. We just tell everyone, hey, everyone hold, don't accept the invitation until I change the settings, and then we can move on. But if you're playing asynchronously and you send out that invite and that person happens to be right on the ball, yeah, it's just can be a little frustrating. But it's available. Now, as of this recording, it's in beta, which means I don't know whether it's going to be part of the subscription service or not right now, as far as I can tell.
And there may still be bugs.
And there may still be bugs. As far as I can tell, if something's in beta, it's free, but don't quote me because I have a subscription, so I can play all the games anyways.
Which you recommend.
Which I recommend. I mean, the subscription at the moment is like $15 a year, and you get access to amazing games, and they're always adding more games. I cannot talk up Board Game Arena enough. So this is really great, is if you're unsure about this game, you can go on Board Game Arena and check it out and see how you like it. And maybe you'll like Century Spice Road more than Century Golem if you like trading spice and you like saffron.
Yes. One other thing to add in, and we're probably not going to cover these, but you can take other Century games, because there's a series of these.
There's
two other games,
yeah, so
I believe. And they can actually mix and match and use different elements from these games, as well as, bring new things in, so that you can keep essentially rediscovering new games.
Yes.
In the whole Century line. And they have some specifically for the Century Spice Road, as well as the Golem versions.
Right.
So we haven't tried mixing them yet. We've been playing them separately, but they have a lot of similar mechanics, which is why they actually can talk to one another, because they're using essentially the same mechanical language.
Right. They just present it differently in different ways, or they're implemented like in physical forms differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you play it quite a bit and burn yourself out on it, that might also be a way for you to refresh your game and get even more life out of it.
Yep. All right. Let's move on to the few things that we don't like about the game. And that is the game is slow to start. Each person only starts with 2 basic cards in their hand. A card that gives them 2 yellow crystals and a double upgrader. So most of the time, the first 2 to 4 rounds is everybody just going around the table and picking up a card. That's not the most exciting or interesting thing. I wish there was kind of some sort of draft that happened during setup, but that's just me. It's not broken. Just want to warn you that the beginning of each game is a little...
Yeah, there is a little bit of a setup time.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a drag when you're spending the several rounds just gaining cards.
Yeah, the bigger dislike happens actually more on like a 4-player game. When you're hitting max players, the 4th player will have more gems and even a higher level gem than all the other players. That's because they actually are playing at a disadvantage. All the good cards in the market get eaten up first, and they're slim pickings. So I would recommend, if you have a player that plays at a higher skill level, they probably should be the 4th player.
Right. It's a little bit harder to do well at the 4th player. I've been the 4th player recently, and I think I made it to 3rd. I thought I did a little bit better than that, but I had, like you said, the cards in the row available to me were not great, and I could never get that engine going. You need some sort of basic engine to make things work, but I never really got great cards to do that with. And you're like, well, the row's random, right? Well, yes, it's random, but you can spend gems to get cards farther deeper in, and if you have enough, you can go and grab that really awesome card as soon as it's revealed from the deck. And so usually that means especially in a 4-player game, the 3 people in front of you have probably already picked out the best cards, unless you got really lucky and the card that pops up on your turn is really good.
But we've seen a lot of 1st player wins.
Yeah, it's just easier to do. It is skewed. It's just easier to do well at if you're first.
Right.
So that's a great way to try to equalize skill level. Someone who is new to the game, generally you wouldn't make them first because that allows them to see how other people play. But on the other hand, this game is relatively slow to start with, so being first and being new is not a bad thing. But putting your more experienced player in 4th place.
Yeah.
Yes. Talking about higher player counts, this game is really easy to ignore what other people are doing because you're trying to build your engine. You're like trying to figure out what you need to do. But if you don't pay attention to what other people are doing, they're going to steal a golem out from under you. Now, I mean, this isn't like a true dislike, but it is something to be warned about in the game. If
you play regularly with, say, the 4-player account, and you find yourself continuously losing, and you're just wondering, I got the mechanisms down, I know how this all works, often that's going to be your first hurdle that you have to overcome and actually pay attention to other players. The problem is this game really incentivizes you to get into your own play space.
Yeah.
That it's almost unconscious that, well, why would I even look at all the other players? I can't affect them anyway. I'm just doing so great here. And that ends up really messing with their in-game scores.
Right.
So.
Yep. I think I briefly touched on this last point, is that the randomness of how the cards show up in the row can make it difficult to make an engine. And that, especially like I said, when you're the 4th player and you've got lackluster cards left, it can just be very challenging.
Yeah.
So these are just some things to keep be warned about with the game, but they don't, for us at least, don't fully take away from the experience of the game. Just things to learn about the game.
Right.
So
it's time for our reviews. Now, when we review, we each have 1d6 worth of reviews to give. 1 is low, 6 is high. We give our number, a reason why, add those 2 together, and see what it rolls for us. Sarah, what did Century Golem Edition roll for you?
I do really, really like this game, and so people might be a little surprised. I gave it a 5. Yes, I Really do like this game. The theme, the mechanisms, it is almost a perfect blend of the two. And the only reason why it's not a 6 is actually a me thing. I'm not always up for this game. It does take a bit of mental fortitude and I'm trying to find other words. Acuteness, maybe? That might be a right word. In other words, I am not always mentally up for this game because it does take a lot of concentration on making your own engine and paying attention to everything that's going on. I'm not always up for it. I always want to be up for this game. I love it very much. If someone suggests it, I'm usually going to say yes. Even if I'm in that mode of, I might not do too well, I still really enjoy playing it. But it's just, for me, it can sometimes be a little much.
Well then, for me, that is kind of surprising. My review is a 6. This is just an easy game for me to get to the table. I will not say no to it. It's an easy yes. I always have fun playing with it. I don't mind if I win, lose, or draw. It's just a fun game, and having people light up when they say, oh, I made a golem who's also this thing.
Yeah.
It's just fun experience to have, even though I'm not the one who built the golem.
Right.
So, yeah. So between the two of us, 11 out of 12, an excellent rating for an excellent game. That will do it for us here at Rolling with Reviews. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with Two, that's TWO. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
And remember, we aren't just golems. We are Rolling with Reviews.